Hernandez.
Pablo
Pablo Hernandez.
Plays for United, Pablo Hernandez. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Fuck off, Kiko Casilla. Pablo Hernandez. Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock podcast. We talk about Leeds United, and we've got a massive show coming up for you. Mac is back, doing good and looking fly. Fresh from Castellon and meeting Pablo Hernandez, the aforementioned Man City. We celebrated triumphantly a 4-0 loss at full time. You know, there were people kissing babies. Jesse Marsh was fist pumping. Everyone was singing, massive smiles on their faces. It's been 30 years since Leeds United became the last true champions of English football. The club have released some non-fungible tokens, finally. After all of the, the noise was deafening with people wanting NFTs. So finally the club have caved in and issued some. Burnley and Everton are playing like Barcelona, and so we'll look at the run-in, and we play Arsenal soon, so we can talk about that. My name's Adonis. You know me as @TheAdelites on Twitter. It's a very good hello from me. Joining us, the Mac is back. The prodigal son, doing good and looking fine at Ewan Metcalf.
Well, thank you. That's a lovely introduction, mate. I don't know what I owe you. Money, probably, if I'm getting them kind of introductions, but there you go.
And we've got a special guest to say hello and welcome you to the podcast too. It's Pablo!
Hey.
So only one place to start then, Castellon.
Yes, I might go back. I would come back and watch Leeds get smashed and Burnley win and Everton win. I might go back to Castellon. They were simpler times, to be honest. You know, there was no peril. You know, of course I wanted Pablo to score. I wanted Castellon to win, but if they'd have lost, it wouldn't have been the end of the world in a great league. Whereas I came back to Twitter meltdown. Everybody's down and we're going down and pretty sad. But yeah, touching on Castellon, I said it my live broadcast where I was pretty drunk, so apologies for that. But what a fantastic experience! What a brilliant thing to do! Worth every penny, every ounce of effort, and we had a fantastic time. And of course, got to meet Pablo himself. Watch 1-0 win. Pablo scoring the winner. It's almost like he wrote the script. The script was written perfectly for us, and ate some beauty food. Went to a city in Valencia and a place in Castellon. I've forgotten how they pronounce it there. It's there he is, Laves. Some lovely photographs there, mate. It's like he's been stalking me. So we had a brilliant time, and I think it's Castellón. There's no on the end, and it's like a J in it, so it's Castellón. Castellón in Spanish. So it was fantastic. Loved it, and just about recovering now.
And the game was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Pablo.
Yeah, he hadn't lost it. He's still got that ability. I mean, if you watch this, you can just tell it's him from a distance, even from a distance in the ground. You know, the way he beat people, the kind of quality of the balls he puts in, that kind of little staggered, like, hesitation on the ball, waiting for somebody to make a run and finding sort of people with a through ball. I think this is it. Look, yeah, there you go. Stick that away. He's got that sort of mannerism that's very distinctive, and again, he hasn't lost his ability to entertain. He did not. He was, obviously he nutmegged somebody. Here's the goal. So a mistake from their player, their number 14, the right winger, good young lads. He got stretching off actually. Plays Pablo in, and a bit fortunate really. It kind of he waited a bit long and it clipped off. The defender sliding off his foot and went in the top corner, but from where we were stood, it looked perfect. And of course, it was a fitting end to, or a fitting sort of result for us, having gone out predominantly to watch Pablo, for him to score the winner. The only goal of the game. It was a good game, played at 100 miles an hour, very fast paced.
Look at this ball.
Yeah, just the ball, the vision. I mean, just delightful. And it looks like you get a bit more time there, but I'll tell you what, up close on that AstroTurf, that false surface, that synthetic surface, it was played at 100 miles an hour. So it was really frenetic pace and probably a better standard than that. They didn't get a lot of time on the ball certainly, and Pablo still stood out as being that bit of quality. That this is a fantastic double save by the keeper. That's their captain, the keeper. I mean, it looks offside, but he's not. And this save, the second one, that was right in front of us. We were sat in this kind of bottom right-hand corner. There's a big cheer went up when the linesman on this side. Funny enough, it was dead funny because we've been getting a bit of grief recently about throwing paper and stuff on the pitch and what have you. This linesman he didn't give that offside, and obviously they nearly scored for it. He gave a few decisions that were a bit dubious. Mate, he got pelted with everything that was in the stand, anything you could get your hands on. Flower seeds, crisps, paper, bottles, you name it, was all littered across the pitch. So
I mean, we talked about it last week, didn't we? That when Newell's fans threw an actual grenade onto the pitch.
That's when you need to get worried. Crisps and sunflower seeds and bits of paper out the building. No. But yeah, fantastic. And obviously, we got to meet him after. It was, the first thing we did was thank him, for everything he did for Leeds and the club, and the entertainment that he provided. Not having been able to do that because he left when obviously there was very few fans being able to get in the ground, and thanked him and sort of asked him what he felt about people being out there. And I think he was bemused, confused, honoured, baffled, proud in equal measure really about why Leeds fans make that pilgrimage. It was brilliant. It was absolutely superb, and he signed lots of got some programs from the game, but he's signed some of the artwork that obviously you and Nora have produced, the Roaring Peacock's artwork. Got loads of them signed, mate. So we've got plenty of Pablo artwork. Can't find the other one now. Stunning. This is the kind of things people switch on for. But lots of signatures of Pablo with your artwork, and Nora's fantastic artwork on there. So there you go. So well worth a visit. Got a couple of Castellon shirts from my boys. They look mint. That's actually a really nice kit, I got a black one, the away kit for Luca, and Shea wanted the black and white one, the traditional kit that you saw there in the highlights. Do it again. I think anybody should do it while Pablo's. I don't know how long he's got left. I think there's a lot of view around the stadium from Castellon fans, certainly not from us, that he might not play on for much longer. He's got 25% of the club now. They seem to think his legs are going. He's getting a bit old, but he played the full game. He wasn't substituted. So I think while he's still playing and getting a start, let's hope if he continues next year. Honestly, I'd encourage anybody to go spend a few days in Valencia, go watch Castellón, and just have a fantastic time. It's brilliant. They look after you. It's great.
Indeed, Castello says Badger.
That's it. Yeah, Castellón.
Nora saying, good evening, everyone. Liam B, we miss Pablo Hernandez. Would love him to be playing for Leeds. Badger, wouldn't be so bad if we'd replace Pablo. That's the overarching sense of sort of gloom and depression hanging over the city.
I think it's honestly. I mean, I've watched a lot of football over the years. It's hard to replace a player like that anyway. Full stop. No amount of money can buy that integrity, that genius, that vision, that sort of. I don't know. He's just got everything. He could score goals. You get a lot of players like that who've got the tricks. He wasn't like overly showy. The Megs was almost became a signature, and I was about to say to him, nutmeg somebody on the halfway line after about 6 minutes, and everybody, a big roar went up from all the Leeds fans in there. That's what we came to see. I told him that at the end. I went, I see you managed to get the honorary nutmeg in there, and he did another kid about 10 minutes later, the same, just on the halfway line, running across the pitch, nutmeg, see you later. He kind of, the skill that he had and the vision that he had, he wasn't flashy necessarily, he just had this ability to be able to, that was his kind of party trick on it, the nutmeg, but he often produced with it. He produced great passes, he scored goals, it wasn't like a show pony, so I told him that. I said, we miss you, and I think, to be honest, he'd probably still get a game at Leeds, and it's hard to replace a talent like that.
Yeah, there was always an end goal in mind with Pablo, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
a nutmeg was something that he just did along the way,
yeah.
just to get around a player, and but the intent was always a cross, or with that vision, a through ball, or a shot. And we've certainly missed that creativity, especially trying to break teams down and hurt them. We haven't looked a threat really going forward, and that's always psychologically beneficial to your opposition. Nora says, "Whoa, I didn't even know about those signatures." Yeah, we'll have to maybe auction one of these signed Pablo artworks. Maybe we could turn it into an NFT, or
Maybe it's probably got more value than what they're trying to flog. And I think that I got you and Nora one. I got you and Nora one signed. Obviously, I got one signed for myself, but there is one going, or a couple, one of each going spare. So there you go.
There we go. Okay. Well, that started off on a bright note because it was a terrible weekend, wasn't it? I mean, Burnley won, Everton won, and Leeds lost. It couldn't have gone worse, really. But let's start off with Man City. And I thought generally we played quite well.
In patches, yeah, we looked okay in patches, and I think a few silly mistakes and the set piece goals are killers out there.
Yep. We weren't expecting anything, and I remember Gail Dale last week was saying that we're going to lose 4-0, and we did. So regulation 4-0. We pelted Grealish with paper.
Took it well though, did it? To be fair, I'm not a big fan of Grealish, but to be fair, he did. He sort of was giggling and having a bit of a laugh at the fact he was getting pelted. I thought that was quite good. He probably went up in my estimations a bit, and I thought there was a clip of a little kid gave Sterling a middle finger, and he sort of almost spat his drink out, just laughing at this kind of 8-year-old flicking him the middle finger. So I thought they were quite good. I mean, they're quite hard to dislike, Man City, apart from the fact they keep pumping us. But I thought we were in the game at points, but just like silly mistakes again and very little threat. The Rodrigo chance at the start. I mean, why he's slowing down and looking to get just drive into the box and get across the defender that's coming, and get a shot off. You can't afford to miss chances and waste opportunities. You go 1-0 up in that game. I don't think it would have changed it necessarily, but you never know, do you? We just seem to be flat and lacking that kind of cutting edge and don't have much attacking threat at the moment, which is slightly worrying because we're going to have to win probably a couple of games now.
Yeah, again, it's psychological, isn't it? When you've got something to defend, then you're much more motivated because you think you're going to get something, whereas instead we sort of concede to a set piece, which again we just didn't look very unified. I think 3 of them were trying to play the offside trap, and then everybody else went with their runners. So it was neither one thing nor the other. And of course, in that situation, you're always going to leave somebody open.
I've said to you though, a few weeks ago, I felt like the luck had turned a bit. We were getting a bit of luck, and it seems like it's as quickly as it went our way, it's gone backwards again. So losing Cooper just before kick-off, the Dallas injury, it seems like that luck only lasted for a matter of weeks, and we're back to sort of potentially. I mean, I don't know what the outlook is for Cooper. Somebody told me that might be him done. The season, obviously Dallas is out now for the season. Player who's never missed a game suddenly is out for the foreseeable and probably will be out for quite a spell. So it does feel like the luck's turned, and that's probably not a worse time for that to happen with 4 games left. So
yeah, I mean, as much flack as Cooper has got, he has been our best defender and somebody who probably for the last few years at Ben White's side, and somebody who we miss badly and we concede a lot when he's not there. He organises everybody else. He's constantly talking, and he's a cool head. And you can't really say that about somebody like Llorente, for example, who he's very patchy. He's very, very good at times, and he's clearly got a lot of quality, but when he loses his head, that costs us a lot, and we just needed somebody a bit more cool and calm and organised. And losing your best defender, losing your best midfielder, and losing your best / only striker has cost us so badly this season.
Yeah, I agreed, and I don't think they score the first goal if Cooper's on the pitch. That was I'm not sure about the others, but I certainly don't think they score that set piece free kick without Cooper marshalling the middle of that area. So disappointing, but I said to be expected. We weren't going to do it easy. Once you're down there, Leeds are a scalp partner for everybody. So everybody'd love to relegate Leeds, so they'll all be turning up. Somebody's put in the comments about Chelsea being poor against Everton, Liam B. They won't be that bad against us. That's a guarantee. Everybody seems to turn up and want to perform against Leeds, and we're seeing some examples of teams kind of switching off a lot against our opponents. I mean, I thought Watford probably had to hang on for another 7 minutes and just capitulated. So the results are going against us, but unfortunately, that's what happens when you rely on other people's results. We shouldn't be in this position. Talk about injuries all you want, but the recruitment from the summer and certainly in January, knowing that we were weak on numbers, it hasn't been satisfactory, has it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what happened with us and Lampard, so we got fined £200,000 for observing a training session.
Yeah.
And look at what happened with Chelsea the night before that game. There were massive amounts of fireworks going off in the middle of the night right outside the Chelsea Players Hotel.
Yeah,
and I would have thought that would have had more of an effect, right, on their performance. But of course, Lampard doesn't say anything about it. Nobody mentions it. Lampard's the darling of the FA and the media. Anyway, whatever. Right, Badger. Losing Coops and then Stewie left us very fragmented at the back. It was always going to fail at that point.
Yeah, I think the game was done by the time Dallas won it, but certainly Cooper, prior to kick-off, is a huge loss and a kick in the teeth, isn't it, for all your plans and does again, the frustration for me is we don't kind of mess about with half of the team rather than just bringing Cresswell in. I'd have loved to watch Cresswell against that. We had nothing to lose. It was a free hit. If there's ever a time to bring in a player like Cresswell, who probably is that, despite his age, is that leader and that communicator and that kind of aggressive presence on the pitch. Once again, we seem to have gone down the route of let's move everybody out, play people out of position. Rafinha playing right wing back when we've got the drama. I mean, whether drama's good enough for the Premier League or not, we've got a full back that's his position, loaned out to Cardiff, getting player of the season. There's a lot of things that you can argue about injuries and about luck and all that, but we haven't helped ourselves really, have we, with regards having options and this kind of obsession with playing Dan James up front when he's not a striker, Rodrigo in midfield when he's not a midfielder, Ayling at centre half. The whole team's kind of, it's no wonder we're struggling because not just the clash of styles from going from Bielsa to Marsh, but we just keep playing people out of positions all the time. In fancy playing your most dangerous offensive player at right wing back. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to tell you you're going to struggle, does it?
No. And of course, playing Tyler Roberts for 100 games or whatever it was.
When it's shit.
Yeah, and I mean the persistence of not playing Joffrey as well. I think even
it's all over the pitch, mate. I think it started. I made a comment the other week that it started with playing Ian Rush, one of the greatest strikers in the English league, one of the most prolific goal scorers ever. Playing at right midfield when it comes to Leeds, that just sums up Leeds is on. No. Well, we think Liverpool who won everything during that period are wrong. We think you're a right midfielder, Ian. So it's absolutely fucking crazy. And sometimes you just get what you deserve, don't you?
Yes, indeed. Okay, let's lighten the mood up a bit. 30 years since 1992. Your memories, Mac.
Yeah, I'm old now, so my memory's not good anyway. But yeah, I mean, football's all a bit of a blur to me. As I say, I'm not really into sort of. I don't know. I was never into like winning. I never thought we'd win the league, so it was kind of all a bit of a blur, really. But the memories of winning it were the game at Sheffield United. Obviously, was I think people were expecting it to go to the last game. So for us to win it at Sheffield United, and I can't remember, was it Liverpool playing Manchester United that day and beat them, or so whoever beat Man United that day for us to be confirmed champions later on in that afternoon. It all felt a bit surreal, really. We kind of all got together, quite a few of me and my mates got together and had a few drinks and celebrated. And then obviously the main memory I've got was going to the Norwich game where they paraded the trophy. And that being a bit of a kind of non-event because it was all kind of done and dusted and a bit of a celebration, which was great. And having a really good day out there. And of course, the bus top, the kind of open top, the presentation at the town hall in Leeds, and there being just all of Leeds full with people, the city just full with people celebrating. And I kind of, at one point of watching Leeds as a young man, I was 20 years of age then, probably wouldn't have expected to watch Leeds lift the title. So it was all a bit kind of, again, surreal and a brilliant celebration and probably a few lost days beyond that. But I think we were underestimated. We had a team of there was no superstars necessarily. We had some fantastic players. I mean, probably the best midfield, wholesome, kind of as a sum of its parts midfield I've ever seen at Ellen Road. But we were kind of underestimated. Sort of people like Chris White, Fairclough, Chapman. But the whole, again, that sum of its parts mentality, where as a team we overperformed really, didn't we? And we took a lot of scalps that year. And Man United at one point it was theirs to lose, and we put the pressure on them and they couldn't cope with it. So yeah, fantastic memories of that time. And I think like Pablo, kind of any team that achieves that panacea, that kind of utopia of winning something, particularly the English league title, the last sort of true champions of England prior to the sort of Premier League and Sky coming in and taking over, has a special place in your heart. All the players. I used to love Chris Fairclough, Gary Speed. Obviously, Batty's my favourite Leeds player ever. Went to my school, lives local to me. Just a proper Leeds lad on a football pitch, basically. But the whole team was just a special team, and you forget about some of the players that came in and played a kind of bit part or a cameo role in that. But yeah, amazing, brilliant memories, and hard to fathom that it was 30 years ago because it sort of doesn't feel that long ago. But special place in the memory and in the heart, that one.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been, especially that Norwich game. Obviously, that was the anniversary the other day, and there were some iconic images from that. I think none more so than Howard Wilkinson sort of walking away from the camera, holding the trophy in his hand. I feel like the club have done quite well celebrating anniversaries. The centenary year, I thought they did well. And if you think about some of these marble boxes, I don't know what you call them.
The flagstones.
Yeah, I can't imagine some of the other owners doing, previous to Radrizzani, doing anything like that. But I thought it was a missed opportunity to remember 30 years to the day since Leeds last became English champions.
Yeah, agreed. And there's a lot of negative stuff going on around the club at the minute, around socials and NFTs and all that kind of stuff. So I think to maybe given the people a bit of a lift and also celebrated when we were champions and we achieved something phenomenal, that would have probably been a lift for the players and reminded people that anything's possible. So definitely missed a trick. Yeah, that iconic picture of Wilkinson walking away with the league title, the league trophy, like a Morrison shopping bag's class in it. So yeah, like I say, I mean, it's a long time ago for me, and there was a lot of brilliant things happened around then. I guess it's similar to today, really, that Liverpool were kind of a dominating force at the time, and when Leeds got promoted, I think they won the title that year, same as when they won the title, we got promoted. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of synergy there, and I think that the main thing for me was, people forget that we won the title a year after we got promoted. So we kind of got promoted and did really well the first season. I can't remember when we finished, seventh, fifth, seventh, sixth, whatever it was. And then the following season won the league. It's like that's probably not going to happen again, is it? That kind of situation will never happen again. So yeah, phenomenal times. A great time to watch football. A much more pure time. No social media. A celebratory kind of period in Leeds' history. And again, it didn't last long, did it? It's a bit like this time. We've kind of the season after. I don't think we won. I can't remember if it was an away game or we didn't win a home game all season and finished 17th or 16th, whatever it was. I mean, our moments of joy are fleeting, aren't they? And then it seems to be back to normal service resumed a little bit.
Yeah. Ups, downs.
Indeed. Yeah. And we've had our ups and downs. Lots of them. Bloody loads of them.
Okay, well, we've touched on it there then. NFTs. I think the first thing to say is it feels like a little bit of a scam, NFTs in general. So especially the pieces of art, let's say, in quotation marks, that there clearly hasn't been very much effort put in to it, and then you sort of assigning value to something that I mean it doesn't
has no value.
Yeah. It's a bit like the Emperor's New Clothes.
It's terrible. It's awful. Yeah, it's awful.
I think what really irks people the most is the exploitation of fans. Fans will be there no matter what. Fans will have been there long before an owner, and they'll be there long after an owner is sold up and shipped off. And there are many ways to exploit the goodwill of fans, and this feels like one of the main ones. And Socios was another one as well. I think if you want to create products around Leeds United, that's fantastic, but make it something valuable, make it something meaningful.
Yeah, it's a world that I'm not familiar with. Like I say, I'm born in the 70s. Yeah, when Leeds won the title, I was 20. And to say if you remember the 90s, you weren't really there. And that's probably true of my experience of the 90s. But so this world of socials, NFTs, whatever they are, it means nothing to me. I can't imagine why anybody would buy terrible art or again art used broadly that's worth nothing. That can't do anything with it. I don't really understand it, and I've seen people arguing about it. I still don't understand the argument because I don't really understand the concept of what an NFT is. So somebody should enlighten me, but maybe I was just born in, like I say, a simpler and more thrifty and kind of sensible time where you don't get carried away with Emperor's New Clothes and bullshit that gets sold to you. And it's kind of like you say, it's playing on your loyalties, isn't it? And I hate that. And I think to also associate and tie it in with what's going on in Ukraine at the moment, it's a disgrace, to be honest. I mean, it's bad enough having them, but to sort of make out it was some fundraising effort or to get involved in supporting Ukraine, it's just like senseless and kind of inhuman, isn't it? So yeah, not for me, pal. But again, what do I know?
So an NFT is it stands for non-fungible token, and it just means something that's unique. That there is literally only one of, and because there is only one of them, like something tangible, for example, like the Mona Lisa, because there's only one Mona Lisa, then the intrinsic value of that is massive, right? Because there's literally only one of them. Whereas if you're talking about I don't know, bananas or whatever it is. Then because there's an abundance of bananas on the planet, that's why they're only worth 20p or whatever it is. So a little bit like Leeds United tickets, you know. There's not so many of them because the ground is pretty small and we're in the Premier League. So unlike when we were playing Crawley or whatever, or you know, Histon, there wasn't such a great demand to go see that game. Now there's a huge demand, and so the value is there. So NFTs, but the thing is with digital NFTs is that obviously you can screenshot the piece of art, copy and paste it a number of times in the same way that you could make posters of the Mona Lisa, but obviously that they would be copies, and the idea is that it's just unique.
Awful. I'll show you something that's unique. I'm probably going to put off a lot of viewers now, right? This isn't worth anything either.
Keep it in your pants.
Look at that. That was in the airport at...
Oh my God. Can you put that away now?
That's unique. That's not worth anything. Nobody's selling it. I found it really interesting. I took so much, so I took a photograph of it. Somebody had actually left that bangers and mash in the toilet at Valencia Airport. That's got more worth than an NFT. It gave me hours and hours of entertainment, and particularly when I showed it to our kid on the plane, he was suitably disgusted. It's like, that gave me far more entertainment than for the NFTs, so yeah, it's not good.
And then, of course, with the NFTs, it's a crypto, so it's linked to a blockchain, and
don't understand that either.
Yeah,
call me naive. Probably better off.
Right, Badger. I've looked like a bored ape for most of my life, and I'm worth sod all.
True.
The drop in the comms too, absolutely tone deaf and disrespectful of the situation we're in. Yeah. I think that, you know, felt like a bit of a kick in the teeth as well, because as we mentioned at the end of the Man City game, you know, it was a jubilant, almost triumphant atmosphere that Marsh was walking around the pitch going, you know, dancing and come on, you know, yeah. You know, it felt like babies were being kissed, people were hugging, you know, beer was flying everywhere. You just needed confetti and fireworks.
What was all that about, by the way? I didn't really get it. I thought, have I got this wrong? Have I watched the highlights of a different game where we've actually won this one? I didn't get it. I think Wiggy might be right. He might be a used car salesman. He's kind of selling really good. Yeah, we won. Yeah, well done, mate. That was brilliant. Well done. Celebrating enough, people might think we've won.
4-0. We only lost 4-0.
There's a bit of that though, isn't there? After the game earlier in the season where it could have been 10, well, could have been more. It was 7. 4 felt like a bit of a result. That's home advantage for you.
But you know, there was this sort of, you know, extremely loud chorus of marching on together, and it does make you feel pride to be just a part of this, you know, whether you had a choice or not. And that's why, you know, that's why when the owners, when the management, when the players, and when the fans are all united, crazy things can happen. And we've got 4 games left, and that's why it felt like on the anniversary when we lifted the last English title after 30 years. That was such an open goal for the club to celebrate it in some way. And then instead they bring out these NFTs and yeah. Anyway, I'm being corrected here in the comments by Derek Moore. Wrong, Adonis. Sorry, mate. It's okay. I can take criticism, unlike Radrazani. No. Sorry. NFTs have loads of use cases. I'm balls deep into crypto. Sounds like a problem for you, actually, Derek. Balls deep into crypto. And NFTs, so I'm going to be biased. You can now own a fraction of a song in the form of an NFT and get future royalties. Okay, but how does that pertain to some very sort of low ambition, low skill artwork being floated by the club. I mean, somebody said it feels like a dip the toes in to NFTs with the charity because it's less easily criticized before going full NFT dickhead.
Full NFT wanker. You know, I'm sure they do have you. I don't understand it, so I'm being deliberately avoiding the subject matter. I just, like I say, when I look at it, I just think, so what? I'm sure there will be examples of NFTs being very valuable, but I haven't seen any yet. And if Derek's right about the future, that sounds great. But what songs am I being able to buy royalties for, and what value? And as you said, that might be the case, and there may be ones that are valuable. But the one that was paraded in front of us by the club at a time where we're 4 games away from potentially wasting a brilliant opportunity to get back in the Premier League, stay up, associated to a Ukraine, a war going on, a war crimes bonanza going on in the Ukraine.
But we know he doesn't care about genocide. That's why we went to Myanmar.
Oh yeah, Myanmar will be touring there next year. We'll be in Moscow.
And I did read some comments by him afterwards, just in research to the article that I wrote this week about the NFTs. And I was looking back at that Myanmar stuff, and he described it as, the silent majority of Leeds fans, are in favor of going to Myanmar and see the benefit of it, and the small minority of loud people on Twitter can't outweigh the silent majority. And that's kind of why I was saying about I can take a bit of criticism about my lack of knowledge of NFTs or whatever. But it feels like Andrea can't take criticism as much as anybody else. And I was watching LS11 this morning. It was a good show, but they were very hesitant when they brought up the subject of NFTs, and they were saying, I know some people like to criticize the club, but we won't do that. And I just feel like, no, he needs to hear criticism because he's done so much right, but he's done also so much wrong. I mean, how can you approve that Gaviscon badge? How could it ever have been approved? And it does feel like, unless you have a petition of 70,000 signatures, that, no, it's just going to be dismissed as a few people on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you need to... Well, it's not even listening to the fans more. It's having people who understand the fans involved in the club. And you still look round for many years. Who's that? Who's the person at the club at a higher level who really understands Leeds? And anybody who was a proper Leeds fan, whether it be today, tomorrow, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, would look at that Gaviscon badge and just go, don't be stupid. In fact, you probably wouldn't, even if there must have been prototypes of that design that came out, and they go, we quite like that kind of marching together, the fist bump against the chest, the kind of, you'd just be like, don't be stupid, it's unrecognisable. I'm a traditionalist. I like the Yorkshire Rose badges and so on and so on, but I like the shield as well. I've kind of appreciate that clubs change the badge. You can't stay in the same place forever, and you can't stop progress and all that. But come on, there's definitely a lack of a lack of that kind of person who really understands people in Leeds and the club and the kind of history in the club. Angus Kinnear's not it, Orta's not it, Radrazani's not it. They're from a different, Radrazani's from a different background in some respects regards his media world, where media will pretty much suck up anything, won't it? Football's different, and you have to be a bit more.
I think Orta's close. I think, probably Orta. He just doesn't. He isn't steeped in the history. He hasn't been a Leeds fan since birth.
No, exactly.
But I do think his passion is probably the closest to the fans. But yeah, I mean, I quite like them. I think that that they've been the best owners for a long time, and they've done things that obviously bringing us back to the Premier League, buying Ellen Road, but I think it's just about if you listen, if you can take criticism on board, and if you listen to the fans, and if you make it a wider group discussion, and you don't just dismiss people, then you might end up creating something much better and far better for the club and far better for the owners, far more profitable. And, you know, even just, it was 4 years since we'd bought a midfielder and people were crying out for one in the summer. And was that just some people on Twitter who you can just dismiss or whatever, you know what I mean? And it does feel a little bit like, you know, oh, those vile animals in in the South Stand or whatever. A few of your comments.
I'm going to say, before I forget,
Yeah.
the Leeds United Supporters Club people are there, and I think they've made comments already that they weren't consulted with about any of the stuff that's been released recently. There's a great opportunity. Whether you've got people, like, I agree with you that as a whole, they've done really good things and have done a lot of positive things, but those negative things could be absolved and could be, avoided by communicating with people like that at that level, at the LUSC, senior people in there, and I'm pretty sure they would carry the same views as the majority of the fans, not this silent minority, you know, this kind of loud minority he keeps going on about, that it would be blown out the water straight away. And they've made comment recently that they're not being consulted with about these things, they're just floating stuff out there. So there's your missed opportunities. And I've said it before, football club owners have an ego, and I think a lot of it's to do with this ego of, I'll do stuff and people will go along with it, and if they criticise it, I'll say it's a minority. You know, the Adam Forshaw tweet when somebody said, why aren't we signing a midfielder? Stupid. Simple as. He's eating his words now, isn't he? Simple as.
Yeah, I mean, there was a supporters advisory board set up in November, and yeah, as he said, you and the trust, the supporters trust, weren't. I mean, I don't know why you have an advisory board if you don't discuss things with them. Is it just, again, is that just an exercise in PR to say, look, we've got an advisory board. Anyway, Derek Moore, don't get me wrong, most of the NFTs aren't worth shit, but some do have value. Liam Chalky, Katie Taylor is a Leeds fan. Yes, boy. Gordon White, good evening, fellas. Managed to lot in after 10 minutes of trying. That's dedication. Says Nora. Gail Dale, hope you enjoyed your Spain trip, Ewan. And congratulations, Gail. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations. You guessed a 4-0 loss correctly to Man City. So well done. Joseph Williamson, we're still playing Bielsa ball. Back pass, side pass, long ball down the wing. Okay. He still looks a bit tired, so it seems like he did. Oh. You look tired, Ewan.
Oh, thanks, mate. I've been old, now I'm tired. Fucking hell. What next? Thanks, mate. I think I might have to just do this on Spotify going forward, mate, to be honest. Like, literally a face for radio. I had a great time, and I am tired. You're right, well spotted. You know me too well.
Just a static photo of George Clooney or something. And Gail Dale, keep the faith. And people saying hi to each other. Yep. Liam B, Leeds Forever MOT, and good evening, lads, says McAllister Bishop. Honestly, in your opinions, I'm guessing, how fucked are we? Gail says, still think we can get one win and 2 draws or 2 wins.
She's the girl to follow after the 4-0 prediction, you know. I hope you're right, Gail. And it's... Yeah, we may come on to McAllister Bishop's question about how fucked are we in a minute, might we? So I'll save that for now.
We can do it now. As you can see, I'm using the latest technology here.
Wow. Is
Notepad.
Is that teletext?
So remaining fixtures then for Leeds United. Arsenal away, which we'll talk about in a second. Chelsea at home. Brighton at home. Brentford away. Everton have Leicester away, Watford away, Brentford at home, Palace at home, Arsenal away, and Burnley, Villa at home, Tottenham away, then Villa away, and Newcastle at home.
You know what it is? I've said for quite a long time, as you know, and I keep going on about it. I've always thought we were going to struggle this year a little bit, and it's playing out that way, and it's sad the way it has played out. But there's going to be a twist and turn. Yeah, I think at the moment we're in the driver's seat to go down. If I'm frank, I think Everton will win. I said it to we were in the car on the way back. We flew back into London, so we hired a car and we drove up. So me and our kid had some time in the car and we listened to the Watford Burnley game. And you know that I said to our kids, if they score once here, they'll score again. They scored again, got the win. And then I just said to him, I've got a vision. The thing about Lampard is he seems to know how to beat us. He seems to have this thing. He had this thing about hoodoo over Bielsa a little bit, didn't he, with the playoffs with Derby and the kind of Everton games.
Sorry, I had to burp, so I just tried to mute myself, but I muted you instead.
No, thanks, mate. You burp and mute me.
So I muted you and then burped into the microphone. This is the
great work.
Quality.
Tell you what,
couldn't have gone better.
This podcast is so professional, honestly. That's what makes it so lovable, because it's just like, we just make it up as we go along. But yeah, I think we listened to the game. I had this vision of Lampard last day of the season, smiling on the pitch and us getting relegated and him sort of winning again. He seems to always get one over on us at the final hurdle. And I do think that he will get results. I said it to our kid. I think they'll get results against the bigger teams. Those harder games that you kind of think, they won't get out there, like Chelsea, potentially. I think that Everton will scratch a few points. I do still think there's going to be a twist and turn in the next 4 games for all the clubs down there. Let's hope we come out on top of that. My concern about Leeds, if you had to ask me, to put my house on one way or another, I'd say we're in trouble, big trouble. And that's only because the only reason I say that is because we don't seem to get anything against the bigger sides. We don't create a shock. We don't turn somebody over that we should. You look at Palace, you look at Burnley, you look at teams down there, Villa, having turned over good sides or beaten good sides. Palace getting results against people. Southampton, even Norwich, Watford beating Everton 5-2. We haven't done that all season. We don't seem capable of, Watford aside. Burnley maybe, we haven't sort of run away with the game. We really seem to be struggling to create chances and score goals, which is a really bad. If you're getting beat 4-3 or losing or winning 4-3, and you kind of knew the goals were there, and if you could just sort your defence out, you might get some. We're not scoring. We're not creating chances.
I do think that. Okay, so some positivity then. Burnley, I think they've got 4 very difficult games. I think Villa is a difficult game. The reason why I think that they're a difficult game is that they haven't been on the best of run, and form isn't permanent. Classes, as we know, Mac. I just think that, Villa might come back at them. I think Burnley as well. They've had a good run, and now they might hit a wall. Tottenham, they're going for Champions League, and I think that on their day, Kulusevski, Son, Kane, they just rip teams apart. And Newcastle, of course, massive turnaround. They were bottom at Christmas, I think. So I think Burnley probably got the most difficult run in. For Everton, I think they've got the easiest one. I'll bring this technology back up. So Everton, easiest one, I think. Leicester have struggled all season. Watford obviously down already. Brentford and Palace, difficult games, but they're the kind of games that you feel like you might be able to get something out of. So I think Everton could be okay. And I think for us, would you a win against a top team?
Certainly,
Arsenal and Chelsea haven't played that well recently. Almost on the beach for them, and then Brighton definitely on the beach, and Brentford as well. So I think we've got good players, and we've got a good team, and if we can put a run together, we've seen that we can create some consistency. So I definitely don't think that there's no hope. Badger, 4 points from our next two. Screenshot it. We will do. Remember, this is the man that predicted 3-0 to Crawley Town, all goals at the near post.
He did as well, yeah.
All results went against us. That was the weekend that we were talking about. McAllister Bishop, embracing the dark arts. I think we need to set a large amount of illegal fireworks outside of the away team's hotel. It definitely worked for Everton, didn't it? Gordon White, if we stay up, it will be like winning the league.
Yeah, that's, I think that teams who've kind of been mid-table forever in the Premier League, it must be really boring. So at least we're not going to have that, are we? And if people have said that if you do stay off, that celebratory feel again that you've got from surviving what's been a pretty catastrophic year, pretty catastrophic season, will be amazing. And as much as I've painted a bleak picture there, I do think we're capable of getting out of it. Of course, I do. I'm going to watch every game intrigued. I'm going to watch it with hope in the heart that we're going to, get stuff from it, and we're more than capable. But I just feel like you needed to keep that momentum up of going unbeaten, and it's really difficult against the Man City. So maybe write that one off like we kind of assumed. But you've got two more tough games. I think we've got to take something from the next two games. We get 4, amazing. If we can get a win, I think we need a couple of wins. So we can get one win, brilliant.
Yep. Allison and Marty Adams. Hi, Gail. Had a stressful trip. Nearly missed kickoff. Trains cancelled. Flight delayed. Hope you're okay. Jeez, there you go. If you thought following Leeds wasn't stressful enough.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Liam B. Leeds to a win against Chelsea. Leeds to beat Brighton.
Okay.
I hope so. Again, I'd say it's definitely possible.
That Chelsea team will perform. They're not going to come and perform like that against us, though. I know that thing with Chelsea. They were absolutely shocking. But then the keeper, Pickford, had a great game, so we're going to rely on players standing up and being counted. That's what's going to get us over the line, isn't it? And we're capable of doing that.
Yep. Okay, James is not a finisher. We need to play a striker in our next 4 games.
100%.
Couldn't agree more. Gail Dale, 39 points, and Everton will need 7. Matt Games, Bamford to come back and keep us up with a last-minute goal versus Brentford. Love that. And then injure himself in the celebration again.
Yeah.
And John Mallet, simple. Whatever Everton do or Burnley do, we have to do better. I think our last 2 games at least are very winnable. Brighton at home, I think we can do them. And Brentford away, I think we could go there and get something as well. A Pontus Jansson own goal, and then he runs over to the away fans and gives the Leeds salute. That would be fantastic. Right, Arsenal. It's 19 years to the day of Arsenal to Leeds United 3 to secure survival in the Premier League that season, and hand another title to Manchester United at the expense of Arsenal, which we seem to keep doing. And I wanted to talk about that game a little bit, because if you missed the 90s and you wanted kind of a little bit of a snapshot of how that team played, that's probably as good a game as any to see. You had a cracking goal from Kuehl outside the area, unbelievable goal, which he did quite regularly for us, and then you had Neonhart free kick, iconic. Third time in a row he'd scored at Highbury, and then you had a Mark Viduka goal which was offside, which made it even better. And the sort of lovely cut inside that he did, that was a bit of a trademark. He was quite good with his feet for a sort of stocky lad, and then just a classic finish, and the best fan zone commentary you'll ever hear. Where's Pie Lad? Where is he? Come on, man. Jimmy Savile's fixed it for Leeds. Stay in the Premier League. I'm rocking and rolling, man.
Who was that? Was that one? Bob Tappin, was it, that did that one? I've seen one that he did. It's absolutely brilliant.
Just look on YouTube.
Yeah, I think I've seen. I can't remember it. Yeah,
crazy Arsenal Leeds crazy commentary or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've got a history of good results when we need them against Arsenal.
We need them now, that's for sure. Yeah, I've got a sneaky feeling we might get a draw at Arsenal. Whether that's enough at this stage, I don't know, but I think we might get a draw at Arsenal. But yeah, fingers crossed, man. It slides down, and it is. It's, you know what? You can't beat. Football's all about drama and peril and emotion, and you know, if we were 8th, 9th, we'd be like just seeing games out. Yeah, it feels nice. You can relax. You can watch the game and kind of enjoy them, but it wouldn't quite be the same, would it? And this is Leeds, isn't it? This is what we do. We either completely, you know, be underestimated and climb up the table last season, 10 games, beat Man City with 10 men, you know, draw with Liverpool, draw with Man United, completely go on an unexpected run, or we really shit, and we end up being there or thereabouts for relegation. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I think, you know, would I swap it? I mean, the thing about it is you've got now, you know, let's say we do drop out of the league, you've got Bournemouth and Fulham coming up. I mean, fucking hell. I'm not saying that just based on fan base and history and, you know, the atmosphere in the ground. If you look at how brilliant the fans were after that 4-0, as we said, absolutely fantastic. And then you look at Fulham and Bournemouth coming up, and you just think, you know, the Premier League's not all it's cracked up to be. Of course, we want to be there, but, you know, if we do go down, it's our own fault. There's some absolutely shocking teams in there. Yeah, we've had some pretty poor luck and injuries, but there's some shit in that Premier League, honestly, real shit. So if you end up in the bottom 3, you probably deserve it over 38 games, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about last season was there were 3 teams who were just terrible, and you know, and we didn't have as many injuries, especially towards the back end of the season, middle part to the back end. Obviously, we had sort of changing centre backs. We had a big problem with centre backs at the start of in the middle part of that season, but you know, it just never gone right for us this season. But when you were describing being 9th or being mid-table, just that sounds like paradise to me. It's just so stressful. It was so stressful in the Championship. You know, when we had to basically keep on winning to stay near the automatic promotion places, and then when of course it all went wrong at Easter in that first season under Bielsa, then the peril was amped up another level the season after, because you always knew in the Championship that just 1 or 2 bad results and you'd be in the thick of it again and at the mercy of the playoffs. So it's just been very, very stressful. And I think, you know, when we beat Fulham and we had our socks off, that was a reflection of the absolute relief of being mid-table. So I'd take mid-table. I would sort of dissolve into a wet puddle just thinking about it. Oh God, that'd be so relieving.
Is that relieving? I know they got divorced that week. It's carrying on and singing and shouting and pissed by about what was that? Was that an early kickoff or a later one? I can't remember the Fulham game now, but I know for some reason I was in trouble.
Was it a Friday night?
Yeah, it was a Friday. That was probably it. 'Cause like, you finished the week, finished work. I got steaming watching the game, and then did a podcast straight after it with my sock off, drunk. What? Remember, wife coming up and shutting my office door. Fuck off. You get on with your little self in there, your little drunk self, and we're going to get on with being a family without you.
Okay, some comments then here. More chance of Lord Lucan playing at number 9 than Bamford playing a part this season, says Badger.
More chance of him starting above Joffrey, that's for sure. Lord Lucan.
Draw against Chelsea, maybe, says Gail. Sadly, we don't have
a Viduka, says Liam B. If 0 points in next 2 games, we will have to win the last 2 games. Couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need 6 points, definitely, minimum.
Yeah. I would move Harrison to wing back, James left wing, and Gelhardt up front against Arsenal. Harrison wing back.
Stop it.
Instead of Firpo. We play a back 4 though, don't we?
He's shocking, Firpo, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I fucking waited all that time and everyone was going on about how great he was, man. He's been fucking awful on me.
I mean, Gordon, I'd say get in touch with Jesse somehow, because that doesn't sound half bad the more I think about it. Don't fancy us against Arsenal, would love a point. Yes, Ewan. Teams coming up, not as good as Leeds. Frightening thing is Norwich will probably go up again.
That's the thing. These sort of teams, they bounce up and down, but nobody leaves. That's the thing. If it Leeds, it'd be like rats deserting a sinking ship. If Leeds go down, they'll all be off. And that, like Fulham hardly lost any today. These teams that go down seem to keep the sort of fulcrum of the team that went down. Like Mitrovic. I mean, he's got 43 goals is it this season or something ridiculous. And we could do with probably dipping in there and getting him because he's no good in Premier League. So. I'm not planning ahead for relegation, trust me, but you can just imagine that if we do go down, that they'll be all off ski, won't they? They'll be all looking to get off, whereas those teams that seem to bounce back up keep a sort of modicum of stability, a little bit of continuity, I guess, and that again won't be us. But we're not going down. What we're talking about, we're staying up by a point. Goal difference is a worry, innit? If a goal difference was better, I'd feel more confident as well, but yeah.
Terrible goal difference. What is it? 19 goals Everton have on us, something like that. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, somebody put a stat up the other day. It was something like against the big sort of top 6 teams or something. It's 47-7 or something this season. That's fucking frightening. That in any league. And that's the thing. We've never competed with anybody decent. That's really staggering. Even the worst teams. I think Norwich got a result against somebody. You know what I mean? Everybody seems to pull off a shot result apart from us. I can't think of one this year.
West Ham?
Yeah, a little bit, but West Ham are no Man United, not Man City. Sorry, they're not Liverpool, are they? And was it this year that Aston Villa beat Liverpool 7-2? Was that this season?
Last season.
Was it? Why can't we do that? Why can't we twat somebody 7-2, like pushing for the title? It's like, it doesn't seem. I do think that Leeds is a scout, and we do suffer for that. The big crowd, the atmosphere, we antagonise people, we create a little bit of a bit of hatred towards us, and I think people do. It can motivate people, can't it, against you? So, go to Norwich, feel like you're going to beat them. Nobody's going to really give you a hard time there. You turn up, you don't perform. Norwich sneak up. You're not motivated. I think everybody coming to Leeds is motivated, particularly on the road, aren't they, to do well, because you get pelters otherwise, don't you, from the home fans?
You certainly do. Gordon White achieving 9th was our downfall, as the board thought we were okay to go again next season.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Completely agree with that. Right. So that's it then. A prediction against Arsenal? I'm going to say 2-0 Leeds.
Come on! I hope you're right. Yeah, I'm going to go 1 each.
Kicker of Elves. This is, why not Hugger of Elves? What have Elves done to you? Kicker of Elves. I'm covering my excessive utility bills by successfully betting on Firpo to get a yellow card in the first 10 minutes every time he plays.
Yeah, pretty much guaranteed.
That's not a bad shout, actually, because we were talking about solar panels last week. Just bet on Firpo getting a yellow card.
And being shit.
And another bonus is you get to take money off betting companies. Galedale lost 10 games against top 6, conceded 44 goals. That was the stats that you were talking about. Arsenal and Chelsea to play. 7-2 Leeds, says Derek Moore.
Come on! Get back to the NFTs, Derek.
Gail agrees with me, actually. Oh, no. She's saying
No,
2-0
no.
Arsenal.
Gail's,
Dear.
Gail's usually pretty accurate, so stop it, Gail, man.
Dear.
I liked you until that comment.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another safe bet for you, kicker of elves. Gail seems to get it right. Leeds win, would take a draw, says Liam B. There you go. Okay, so that's Arsenal done. Now, we did have a comment from the aforementioned kicker of elves to do with your thing. Just finished The Club on the Edge of Town book you recommended, Ewan. What a life-affirming read. Highly recommended.
Oh, thank you. Well, I didn't write it, but you know what I mean. I did recommend it, so I'll take some credit. Yeah, it's great. I was reading it. I finished it while I was away, on the plane and stuff. It's brilliant. It's really interesting, especially if you know that. Whether you know the background or not, and you've been involved in the club like I have, and the food banks and the all elves, aren't we? And obviously we get a mention in there, which is very gratifying, very humbling. But it's a really good book. It's a great read.
Bit of background then. This is by Alan
Lane.
Holbeck Working Men's Club. It's called Slung Low now, isn't it? So
it's a theatre and arts company. It's still called the Holbeck, but the theatre and arts company that manage it is called Slung Low. Yeah, who Alan's the director of theatre, or I think is his official title. But yeah, great bloke, lovely. Got a lot of time for Alan. He's great.
And the book is about the food bank during the pandemic.
It's a bit of a story about how Slung Low became involved in taking over or managing the club, because it was a failing working men's club. You know, the longest, I think the oldest still working or operating working men's club in somewhere, England, Britain, whatever. So yeah, it's a kind of story of an introduction of how they became involved in that, and then a kind of chronicle, a kind of memoir of the pandemic, which includes the operating of a food bank and setting up social care services from the club, the kind of disputes between the old members, the old guard, during that time, and the new people, Alan and his team, fantastic team that they are, coming in and trying to get that club turned around, and during a very difficult period. It's just a fantastic story. It is uplifting, as I think Kicker of Elves has said. You know, it's a life-affirming sort of story. But yeah, lots of challenges and things going on at a time where everybody was struggling. And of course, you know, we were, you know, the Peacocks and myself particularly were heavily involved in supporting the food banks. And you stopped burping. At least you didn't mute me this time. So I tried to do that discreetly, but I didn't let him off with it. That's for muting me last time. But it's a brilliant thing. Read it. Do you know what I like? I'm not a massive reader. I'm not a great reader. And it's really short chapters, so you kind of get a chapter and it's 4 pages long. It does a little bit on a person, and there's some brilliant people doing great work in the community mentioned in it, and that's what changes cities, isn't it? So I love it. I love the book. Get a lovely mention in there. I asked Alan after I'd read my bit if he could write my obituary. He says, "You're not planning on going anywhere just yet." You know, and, well, no, but you know, when I do eventually, if he's still here, will you write my obituary for me? Because he wrote a lovely piece. Yeah, I was really, really flattered and humbled, and yeah, loved it.
Was a helpful reminder of the good in people, says Kicker of Elves.
It's all about, mate. I think we touched on that when we did the pods about it and did the All Elves, and yeah, brilliant. Love it. It's what life's all about.
Okay, and my recommendation for this week is The Lost Leonardo. Speaking of art pieces.
Yeah, Mona Lisa.
So it's a documentary film from 2021 that somehow I missed. But yeah, The Lost Leonardo, and it's this sort of painting cropped up in New York that sort of people claimed was a Leonardo or after Leonardo, so one of his students, and they bought it for like $1,000, and then they took it to a restorer and an art critic, and they were kind of like, "Oh, this is actually the lost Leonardo da Vinci painting," and I absolutely knew nothing about it, to be honest. I knew nothing about Da Vinci. Of course, you see the sketches with the man who's at 3 o'clock and
World in Action.
2 and 11. Yeah. World in Motion.
Yeah.
The YMCA. And the Mona Lisa, of course. But there's apparently only 15 paintings of his left in existence. So he was a painter in the 1500s. And you know, it ends up getting sold for rather a lot of money, and I won't spoil it. But there's also some debate as to whether it's real or not, and it's just very interesting documentary. I was surprised. Nora's into her art, so I kind of sourced it out for her, but I found it incredibly interesting.
Good stuff, my friend.
Nice one. Last few comments then, so get them in before we do our final thoughts. Badger says 1-0. Clark, 1-0 Leeds. Great memories, obviously. Derek isn't impressed by you mocking his NFT indulgences, giving you the middle finger. Gaildale, right Badger is Alan Clark. Is Alan Clark still playing for us? Bit past it now, isn't he?
He's probably more a strike. Probably score more goals than Dan James.
Gaildale, come on, dirty Leeds, and Penny Lane is in my arms.
Yeah, it is in my ears.
Leeds now need to get goals.
All right, help. Definitely. That's the tonic. my thing's this flag here. Have you seen this flag? It's mint in it. Flag,
so people listening on the podcast,
oh yeah,
this is a Castellón flag. It says
mint.
25 Anis Fed Picas.
I don't know what that means.
100 Anis.
That's the of the black and whites. Albinegro. I know that. So that's the kind of their nickname. They've got a few nicknames: Pom Pom Pam Pams, and the Albinegros is the black and white. So yeah, that's. I was gifted that flag. Sorry, I was gifted that flag by a guy called Rahio, which is Roger. He kept insisting we called him Roger, and he gifted me that because he said I was massive. What that means, I'll leave that to your imagination. But yeah, they kept saying to us, Laves, the guy who Yabez, however you pronounce it, keys in Spanish. Put a tweet. He follows me on Twitter now, so he got into the Roaring Peacocks and he followed me, and I showed him a couple of bits. I'm going to send him a couple of links to the podcast and stuff. He put some comment on something I'd posted about these people are really big. Roger described us as massive, and I didn't know whether that was in size or just it was meant to be a what's the word? Like a compliment about our personalities or our humanity, or the fact that it was his son's 11th birthday when we were there, so we gave him some euros. His son, who was only 11, obviously, to celebrate his birthday, and they thought that was really generous and kind of didn't want to accept it. So whether it was some compliment or whether genuinely he's saying I'm fat again, so just like our mate before, well, I'm massive and I'm big. So there you go.
There we go. Massive. Big out to the massive. The Roaring Peacock massive. Gail says nice flag. It is a very lovely flag. And McAllister is saying, what was the name of that art documentary again? I think the missus would like it. It's called The Lost Leonardo, and it's from 2021. And Bowie's here. Bowie
Right,
Doctor.
Bowie.
Hello, gents. Nice to catch you, Lice. Very, very nice to catch you, Bowie. Right. It was a big week. We triumphantly lost 4-0 to Man City and then partied like it was 1999. Been 30 years since Leeds became the last true champions of English football. Big Mac returned from Castellon and meeting Pablo Hernandez, one of our heroes at Leeds United, caved in to the huge cries and demands for NFTs and finally released some NFTs. Thank you. That's what we've been asking for. Burnley and Everton have turned into title contenders. at exactly the right time. And of course, we are about to beat Arsenal. Definitely 2-0. Final thoughts, Big Mac.
Listen, eyes down, hold on tight, deep breaths and all that. Stay calm, and hope we can get the points we need. It's going to be an interesting few weeks, isn't it? So I genuinely hope we can. I am very philosophical about sport now and football. I don't tend to let things get to me, but after all the effort and years it took to get into the Premier League, let's do everything that we can to stay in it. Dark arts, kidnapping players from hotels, never mind fireworks. Fuck that. That's for amateurs. That's sniper stuff. Let's kidnap some people. Let's ransom folk. Let's do all kinds of dirty shit. Let's get pure.
If that actually happens, by the way,
No,
that's got absolutely nothing to do with me.
Definitely people will think it's me because I've got that kind of look about me. But yeah, let's get proper dirty Leeds on it. You know what I mean? Let's go for it and use every little fibre and every mineral and every nutrient to make sure we get what we need to stay in the Premier League because we want to have a go at it, don't we? You know what I mean? We want to know, maybe people at the club have got things wrong. Maybe I've not invested right. Maybe did miss an opportunity with getting the right players in. But they'll have another go at it slightly longer ago, and I think we deserve that. And listen, the saddest thing is to lose Bielsa and it all be in vain would be the worst thing ever. So we've got to do it just for him. Yeah, so that'd be, let's just hold on tight, stick together as well. I know we've got all these NFTs and we joke about a little bit of disunity at the club, which is they're bad. They've missed a few tricks, I think, like you say, recently, and not really been very sensible with some of the things they've done. But as a fan base, let's stick together, get behind the team, and hope we can get what we need to stay in the league.
Yep, I challenge you to find another club in world football, as the phrase goes, that would have been celebrating a 4-0 defeat, like Leeds United were, and the scenes from the fans at Ellen Road at full time. Massive, right? Great pod, thank you, Liam B. Great stream, lads. Thanks, Liam. Nora Teresa, good moves. That was the Jesse Marsh as opposed to the Mike Dean. Thanks, guys. I will say night for now. Says Gail Dale. Thank you. Good night, Gail. Derek Moore. Yes, Johan. Yes, Johan.
Yeah.
Come on. One game at a time, says Liam. Derek Moore. I tell you what, we're getting some fantastic advice. Score goals and one game at a time. Love it. Dirty Lead says Derek Bowie. If we can score, we have a chance, but I guess we'll park the bus. Do both. I say do both. I hate the Premier League, but all my heart I want to stay up and to win it for Bielsa and the rest of us. Yeah, Stuart Dallas and Alan Clark and Peter Lorimer and for Norman Hunter for Yorkshire and yes, let's do it for Bielsa beating Arsenal, says Penny Lane. Colin Brooks, evening all, and that was a quickie, says
but you Bowie. Were late, mate. You were late, Bowie. It's not us. We've been on ages, pal. An hour and 18 minutes to be precise.
Wow, is it that long? Bloody hell. Try and do a quick one, and then it...
You know what they say? Time flies when you're having fun and all that, you know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. Class is permanent. Unlike this stream, which will now end. Come on, Leeds! Fucking get into him! Put